Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I would love to have you subscribe, like, comment, and if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Well, I have ranked all of my ColourPop palettes. Yes, I have. Took me the majority of my morning. Yes, it did. I'm not proud of that fact. I just have such a hard time ranking palettes. It's ridiculous. I did this not very long ago with my BH Cosmetics palettes, and it took me almost an hour, and it took me longer to rank my ColourPop palettes. I mean, ridiculous. That's like almost 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back. But they're ranked. I'm ready to make this video. I'm so excited to show you guys the palettes and how I rank them. There's 21 palettes in total, 3 of which I have not used. They're still in my box of shame, so I did not include those in the ranking. So I'll start off with those. The first one is the Blue Moon palette. This is a gorgeous blue color story. When I was showing you guys my box of shame, I did a collab video with my beautiful friend, sister, and mentor, Steph from Not Your Basic Stuff. I opened this palette up and the shade right here broke and fell into my lap. Yay! So that's still sitting in a little dish in the bathroom. I have yet to even attempt to do anything with it. Steph, she showed me this really cool product. It's called IsoClean, and it's like a plastic bag that you put the broken shadow in, and then you add some liquid, or I'm not sure if it's water. I can't remember what she said. I mean, she showed it all to me, and I just didn't retain it. But you basically like kind of squish it all together, and then you squeeze it out of the plastic bag back into the pan, and then you just kind of press it and leave it alone, let it kind of sit and dry. And it's supposed to work amazingly well, so I definitely want to get that. I will link Steph's channel in my description box. If you have not subscribed to her yet, you have got to do so. She is one of the most amazing, beautiful, talented, creative, wonderful creators on this platform, and I am so blessed and honored to call her my friend and sister. So please do yourself a favor and go right to her channel and subscribe. All right, so that's the Blue Moon palette. The next one is the Cashmere Forever palette. This is an all purpley kind of magenta color story. It's a 5-pan palette. It's gorgeous. It's just been sitting in my box of shame, collecting dust. Anyway, I have a habit of doing that. So yeah, I'm really excited to use this palette. I think it's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm gonna take this out of my box of shame. I've got a big stack of palettes that are rising on my desk that I need to use, and this is going with it. The last one that I haven't used is the Wild Child. I just think this is such cool packaging, and the color story is beautiful. I mean, it's neutral, but I mean, these browns are just deep and rich and delicious, and I cannot wait to use this. I don't know why I haven't yet. I really don't have any excuse, other than I have just a ton of palettes to get through, so that's probably why. But yeah, I'm really excited to try this. If you're interested in seeing me create looks with any of these palettes, please let me know. I did do a subscriber request video, my last video, and that was so much fun, and I really want to start a subscriber request series on my channel. So if you have any requests of like a tag you'd like me to do, a subject you want me to talk about, a palette you'd like me to create a look with, please let me know. Please feel free to give me any suggestions that you'd like to see on my channel, because I would love that. All right, so I have 18 palettes, ColourPop palettes. I had 18 BH Cosmetics palettes too, kind of strange. But I'm gonna start off with the lowest rank and then work my way up to number 1. So 18 is Garden Variety. And this may shock some of you. You may love this palette, but it's a gorgeous color story. My problem with it is that the Super Shock does not work on me at all. I don't know what it is, but Super Shock shadows just do not work on my lid. They just kind of like, I don't know, I put them down and they just kind of come off, like peel off. It's just the most bizarre thing, and the more I put down, the worse it gets. The shimmers in this palette are gorgeous. However, they're almost kind of like a chalky consistency, and they just don't adhere well to my lid. The mattes are okay. I do like the mattes, but the shimmers, I don't know. I just cannot get this palette to jive well with me at all. I've tried it several times, and I just, the Super Shock really threw me at first, and so I was like, I'm not using that palette anymore, and kind of a grudge against it. And so then I thought, no, use this. You paid money for it. You need to use it. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't get on very well with this palette. So that's why it's ranked low. It's a gorgeous palette. It's just, I don't know if I got maybe a bad formula batch or something, but it just doesn't work very well for me. So that's why it's ranked at the bottom. Number 17 is a Blush Crush, and this may shock some of you because I think some of you probably adore this palette. I don't hate this palette. It's just that some of these shades, these lighter shades here, they just don't show up very well on my lid. I have to put a ton of shadow down on my lid for them to even barely show up. and it's just kind of an underwhelming palette for me. This shade here is called Blush Wine, is really pretty. I do enjoy this, and I like this one too. It's called How Rouge, but the rest of these shades are just kind of odd on my eyelid. They just don't show up. This shimmer here, it's kind of a duochrome. It's called Papa Bottle. That's gorgeous too. But on the whole, this is just not one of my favorite palettes. It's just, this doesn't show up well on my lids, so that's why it's ranked so low. All right, number 16. This is the Rumour Has It palette. This is an all blue color story. I did create a video with this and another palette that I'm going to show you. This palette, the pigmentation of the mattes is kind of strange. It just kind of blends away to nothing. You have to keep building and building, which I don't necessarily dislike. I mean, I actually kind of like palettes that are that way, you know, that aren't super pigmented right off the bat. But I don't know, the shimmers are kind of flaky. It is a pretty palette. I don't want to say anything like super bad about it. I mean, it's not horrible. It's just not one of my favorite palettes. I have a lot of other ColourPop palettes that I love a lot more than this one. But yeah, the formula of the mattes was not my favorite. It was just kind of dusty. When I would tap off the brush, it would just kind of fly all over. So yeah, that's why it's ranked so low. Number 15, this is the High Society palette. This is an all green color story. I think it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful palette. But again, it's very similar to the blue palette. I think maybe that's why I haven't used the purple one. The mattes are just super dusty, but the shimmers in this one I did like better than the other ones. So, you know, it's not a horrible palette. It's just, the pigmentation just isn't my favorite. I have, like I said, I have more ColourPop palettes that I love a lot more than this one. But, you know, if you like all green color stories, I don't think this is something that you should avoid, but maybe look into other green palettes before you go after this one, I would say. So number 14 is the Aura and Out palette. I really like this color story. However, there's really no depth to this palette. They're all pastel shades pretty much. The matte formula in this palette is not my favorite. It's not awful, but it's just not my favorite. I have other ColourPop palettes that have a much better matte formula. The shimmers in here I actually really enjoy using. There's a pressed glitter in here. Not my favorite formula in the world, but this is a really pretty palette for spring and summer. It's just there's not a lot of depth, so there's not a, you know, huge array of looks that you can create with this. I mean, and it's a smaller palette, so I mean, you know, you kind of know that going into it. But yeah, it's just not one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. Number 13, this is the Baby Got Peach. I love this little palette. It's gorgeous. It does have a deepening shade here, which I appreciate. It does have the pressed glitter. That's the pressed glitter that I got into my eye. I'm giving it the stink eye. But the whole palette is gorgeous. I love this shade the best. It's called Centerfold. It's such a pretty, vibrant peach shade. The shimmers in this palette are nice. The mattes are really nice too. But again, it's just not a whole really diverse palette. I mean, and like I said, you kind of know that going into a monochromatic palette. I mean, hello. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I have other ColourPop palettes I like better than this one. The next one is number 12. This is the Lilac You A Lot. I used this palette for the first time in a collab with my wonderful friend Marina. Hi, my dear. My cat, Reggie, knocked this off my kitchen counter and broke this shade and then slipped around in the shadow. So there was no way that I could like salvage off the floor any of the shadow. Yeah, he looked really cute in purple eyeshadow on his paws though. That was adorable. But yeah, this is a gorgeous palette. Again, there's not a ton of depth to this. This one right here, it's called Iffy, and then this one here is Filtered. I mean, those are, you know, they're decent deepening shades, but I just would have loved to have had a really dark, deep, almost black purple shade in this palette. That would have been amazing. But the quality of this palette is gorgeous. I really like this shade right here. It's called Ghostin'. I think it's really, really pretty. And I do like that there's kind of like a softer purple, like almost a mauve-y soft purple. And this shade really right here, it's called Trainwreck, is gorgeous. So yeah, I mean, it's a lovely palette. It's just that there's just not a lot of depth to it. And I really wish it had just a little bit more and I would have ranked this higher. Number 11 is the Lil Ray of Sunshine. I love this little palette. It's just gorgeous. I love these tones, kind of mustard gold, this kind of like mahogany brown. This is a really fun palette. However, it's all matte, which is fine. I mean, I don't typically do all matte looks, but if you do that, you would love this palette. It would be perfect for you. But because there's just not a lot of diverseness or variety to this palette, I just kind of ranked it a little bit lower. But this is a very good quality palette. And like I said, the color story, I love these kind of, it's almost kind of a grungy palette, but there's some brightness to it too. And yeah, and I love the packaging. I love sunflowers. It's super cute. Number 10 is the Goin Coconuts. I got this not too long ago after watching Paulina Beauty rave about this palette, and it is a stunning, gorgeous neutral palette. And it does have a deepening shade, which I love. And there's no pressed glitters in this. This has a really nice formula. It's a wonderful neutral palette. You can create some really, really soft but dramatic, kind of deep, smoky eye looks with this palette. So it's really fun to play with, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, so this I struggled with too. I wasn't sure where to rank it, but it is number 10 and I'm sticking with it. Number 9, this is the That's Taupe palette. I love this palette. I am so into cool tones. That just happened not too long ago, and I was so happy that I was able to get this. It's a perfect little cool tone palette. These shades are gorgeous. The shimmers, I absolutely love the shimmers in this palette. It's just so pretty. And the mattes are really nice too. So yeah, if you're into cool tone palettes, I highly recommend getting this. The reason why it's kind of where it's at is just because of the fact that it's just, you know, there's not a lot of vibrancy to the palette, but sometimes you just want a nice, soft, cool tone look. And this will definitely give that to you. Number 8, this is the Flutter By palette. I love this palette. It's so gorgeous. I love the packaging. Butterflies are very near and dear to my heart. The color story is really pretty. It's very cool toned. There's some mauves, some kind of plumish burgundy shades in here, and it's just lovely. And it does have some deepening shades. Hooray. It does have a pressed glitter, except for this pressed glitter is actually a decent formula. It's not so chunky, it's more finely milled. I would say it's closer to the Cara Beauty pressed glitter formula, which I love and adore. And I just think this is such a gorgeous, nice, soft, romantic color story. And I definitely want to use this like in the fall and in the winter, even though there are butterflies in the front. I just think that's a perfect like autumn color story. All right, number 7, the All That palette. Now this was in my box of shame, and I actually pulled this out and used it 2 days in a row. I was so impressed with it the first time I used it that I used it the next day again. This is a gorgeous color story. We have these beautiful deep reds, wine colored shades. We have this really nice black matte. I mean, there's some shimmer in there, but it just kind of falls off. It does have the pressed glitter, a couple of them actually, and I didn't use those with my looks, but they look to me like I would get on with them just fine. They're not that real thick, chunky glitter. They're more finely milled like the Flutter By palette. So yeah, really like this palette a lot. Really glad I got it. Number 6 is the Boudoir Noir palette. I adore this palette. This is my perfect color story. That grungy gold, green, brown. I just love these kind of color stories. It does have a pressed glitter here, but this gold here is probably one of my most favorite gold shades that I own. I just love it. It goes on so beautifully. It's so vibrant, and I just enjoy so much playing with this palette. This is going to be another great palette for fall and winter. So yeah, I can't wait to use this more and more. I highly recommend this palette. If you love grungy color stories, this is such a beautiful palette, and the quality is incredible. Number 5, this is the Frozen 2 palette. And you know what's funny? I have never watched Frozen 1 or Frozen 2. I'm not kidding. Ridiculous. But this color story to me is just gorgeous. It does have a pressed glitter that is very thick and chunky. I will avoid using that. It's got this gorgeous silver shade here. It's got this kind of duochrome, kind of, I don't know, brown to pink shift. Kind of got some like mauveness to it as well. This periwinkle blue shade is so pretty, and this very deep wine color is gorgeous too. This is a duochrome. It's kind of a white to pink shift. And I love this palette. It's so much fun to play with. I cannot wait to use this in the wintertime. I think this is just a perfect, like, very romantic winter type palette. And the formula of this palette is incredible. I just love it. And the packaging is super cute. I just wish that I could say that I'd seen these movies, but I haven't. Probably the only person in the world that's never seen Frozen or Frozen 2. I know who all the characters are, okay? I know that. Just never seen the movies. All right, number 4, this is the So Jaded palette. I love this palette so much. Now, I talked about this before. Mine is probably gonna look different than yours. I actually took all of the shades out and rearranged them in a way that I felt looked better, looked more aesthetically pleasing. Angelica Liramar did a video where she did that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I instantly ran upstairs, got my palette out, took it downstairs, got a magnet off the fridge, and just started popping them all out, and then put them all back in the way I thought they should be. So you may think it looks strange, but to me, it looks great. We've got some neutral options here, and then these beautiful jewel toned, amazing mattes. We have shimmers, we have a couple pressed glitters. I don't know that I'll ever use those, but maybe, you never know. I might have to send all my pressed glitters that I'm not sure about to my wonderful friend and sister Steph, because she loves glitters. But yeah, this is a gorgeous palette. It's very fun to use. You can create a wide variety of looks with this, and I just absolutely love using this during the summertime. I have not used it yet, but I do have it sitting on my desk with other palettes that need some attention. So this will definitely get used this summer because it's just gorgeous. Number 3, it's my pleasure. This palette, this was really hard for me to rank too. I just love this palette so much. It's got such beautiful, unique shades. This one here, it's called Mr. Sandman. This is my absolute favorite shade in this palette. It's this kind of a multi-chrome, duochrome. I'm not sure. To me, it's got at least, I don't know, 3 colors that you can see. It's kind of got this silvery, purpley, pink shift to it. It's so gorgeous. I always get compliments on this palette when I create a look with it. And I love this one here too. This is called Do or Dough. And yeah, this is just such a wonderful palette. It's got deepening options. I mean, look at these 2 shimmers too. This has kind of got a duochromeness to it as well. They're just gorgeous. So if you really like purple palettes, I prefer this palette over the Lilac You A Lot. I do like the Lilac You A Lot, but this palette is just stunning. To me, it's very diverse. It's got different tones of purple, so you can create, you know, more variety of looks, I would say. I mean, it's a small palette, but you can still create several different looks because it gives you so many different purple options. So I love this little palette so much. Number 2. This is the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette. This palette started this whole thing for me. My daughter got this for me about 3 years ago, but this started my whole love for makeup, for eyeshadows. I had never even heard of ColourPop when she gave me this palette. This is such a fun, beautiful, inspiring palette. Now, it's not available anymore, which really bums me out. I wish they'd bring this back. Maybe they will. The only thing I can say about this palette that makes me kind of sad is that I've only used the teals one time. Yeah, one time. And it was basically just because colorful eyeshadows used to scare me to no end, but now they don't. And so I really want to get this palette out and use it some more. It's just old and I don't use it as much. I haven't used it in a long time. Actually, I did use it in my first BoxyCharm video. I pulled this out and used the teals and I loved them. They were amazing. So I just could kick myself for not like using those more, but I still can. It's got these beautiful kind of rusty shimmers. This silver is gorgeous. This bright pink is really nice. And then we have some kind of neutrally options for like transition shades. It's a gorgeous palette. I don't know where you would be able to find this palette, and I'm sorry because I don't like to show things that you can't readily get, but I'm always going to talk about this palette. I love it so much. And like I said, it just started my whole journey into this obsession and love that I have for makeup. So I will always treasure this palette. All right, number 1. Number 1 is on my eyes today, and I had a blast making this look, and it is the Stone Cold Fox palette. This palette absolutely blew me away. I said before with the That's Taupe palette, I love cool tone shades, and I was just kind of starting to get into cool tone shades when this palette came out, and I just fell in love with the pictures I saw online, and I thought, I'm getting that. I have to. And I got it, and it's just so much fun. The quality is amazing. It's just beautiful, cool tones. Now, you may argue that there are some repeat shades in here, and there kind of are, but you know what? I don't care. I love using this. It's so much fun. I love the look I created today. I've loved the looks that I've created with this in the past, and I will definitely be using this more and more and more. I know I will. I think this is perfect for fall, for winter, for spring, for summer, for Tuesday, for Friday, whatever, morning, noon, night. I mean, this is just such a gorgeous palette, and I so enjoy this. So if you're not into cool tones, you may not like this, but if you are, I highly, highly, highly recommend picking up this palette because it's just gorgeous, and it's my absolute favorite ColourPop palette. I could sleep with it under my pillow. All right, so we got through the ranking. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching me go through all of my ColourPop palettes. If you agreed with my ranking, let me know. If you don't agree with it, let me know. Let me know if you have any of these palettes and what you think of them, or if you don't have the palette and you're thinking about maybe picking it up. I'd love to chat with you about it. I love chatting with you guys in the comment section. It is so much fun. It's my favorite part of having a YouTube channel. So I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day or evening to sit down and watch this video. It absolutely means the world to me. If you have subscribed or if you'd like to subscribe, please do not forget to hit the notification bell. That way you're aware of all of my future uploads. I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video, but in the meantime, please stay well, safe, happy, and I cannot wait to see you again. Thanks again, you guys. Take care. Bye.